If you're tired all the time, losing your hair, and you feel like your testosterone tanked, this video is going to open your eyes. In this video, I'll be walking through a real consultation with someone battling with low energy, poor metabolism, and hormonal issues. And by the end of this call, I'll uncover exactly what's holding him back. If you already know that you want results like this, there's a link down below where you can book a call, or stick around till the end and I'll walk through in detail all the ways you can work with me in detail. So yeah, you said you're struggling with low energy levels, which is mostly due to like thyroid and high stress. So when the body has low thyroid, it compensates with higher cortisol and adrenaline. So that's what you're kind of going through, and relying on caffeine to get me to perform at work. Caffeine can be a substitute for thyroid. That's why you feel good afterwards. It gives you energy. Basically, I would like to have a game plan to get my energy up without needing to rely on energy drinks. Would still like to enjoy. Perfect. So we can set that up. So you're struggling with energy and hairline. The energy thing, it's mainly going to be through proper diet, supplementation, and removing blockers. With the hairline, is it receding on the side, is it?
Yeah, so it's like the widow's peak sort of thing has just been going back quite a bit. I can't see myself in my phone, but if you can see, it's sort of going back a bit more than it used to. So it's not like drastic or anything. It's just something that I've sort of picked up on.
Got it. Yeah, you mentioned you done like a course for hair loss.
Yeah. So do you know Primal Thrive on Instagram?
No, I did. Yeah, that is no.
Okay. He's got this like, he's one of those like holistic health kind of guys, and he has this hair regrowth course that I invested in. And it was just, what I mainly took away from it was just eating easier to digest carbs and proteins like white rice and eggs. And then he spoke a lot about increasing stomach acid to help with digestion, which is, he said that dandelion like tea and bitter herbs will help increase stomach acid. So on the daily, I've been drinking dandelion tea. I don't know if that's something I should keep doing or not, but
Okay.
yeah.
And with the stomach acid, is that something you're struggling with gut health, digestion, bowel movements?
It's definitely improved since applying what I learned from that course. I wouldn't say it's at 100% right now. Like I can't really tolerate fermented dairy that well, but like regular non-fermented dairy, I'm totally fine with. But I think I was suffering with low stomach acid. I don't know if it's at an optimal level now, but it's definitely a lot better. Like digesting food now is a lot better for me. And I was doing the raw liver as he recommended in that course, but then I don't know if I might have had a bad piece of liver or something, but the one day I just had pretty much just straight diarrhea for like 3 days. So I haven't done raw liver since. I've just been doing cooked liver instead.
Okay. Yeah, with raw, you definitely have to be careful with that, because diarrhea is just like a bacterial infection, goes back to that. And it kind of goes back to the thing with the sickness. Sickness and infections are due to low thyroid, because with lower thyroid, the bacteria in your gut can go higher up, and whatever you eat, you get like bacterial overgrowth and like indigestion or like buildup of mucus, you could say, all of those things. So the underlying foundation to the things that you're talking about is fundamentally thyroid. Also, the thing with the coffee, one of the telltale signs of someone that's hypothyroid is the craving for caffeine, because caffeine is it acts like thyroid in a way. Okay, so got that. How long have you done? A few years, work sales job, okay. Current training routine. So how many days a week is that, the training routine?
It's usually 4 days, but I find myself only doing really 3 that I stick to on average. So 3 days a week, pretty much.
Yeah, 3 days, I'd say, is best, because when you're training more frequently, even though you're training a different muscle, you're still training the same nervous system. And you need your nervous system to recover, especially if you're in a stress state, you have limited recovery, so on and so forth. So 2 to 3 times a week is more than enough. And I have some training plans at the bottom here. Current training approach. So with all that, do you track your calories? Do you know what your macros are? Calories per day?
I don't have like an exact like macro split, but I find I feel best when I hit about at least 380 grams of carbs per day. Usually if I go above 400 grams of carbs, I feel really good. Like I'm nice and warm hands and feet and all that. I'll sleep better as well if I hit 400 plus. With protein, if I go below 150 grams of protein, I sort of feel more stressed out than normal. So anything above 150, I feel pretty good. With fats, I'm usually somewhere around 180 grams of fats.
Mm-hmm.
I don't really track that too closely. I usually just aim for about 4,000 calories. If I eat less than 4,000, then I stay the same weight. And if I eat less than about 3,500, I'll lose weight.
Okay. Got it. Okay, so carbs. Do you eat things like bread, starchy vegetables, things like that?
Not really anymore. Like if I have bread, it'll be sourdough maybe once a fortnight. And with starchy vegetables, like I'm mainly referring to like potatoes and sweet potatoes. I'll have that maybe once a fortnight too. But I just find my digestion of those things is just like really bad.
Okay. Proteins, eggs, beef, liver, also ghee, that's okay because it's saturated. Milk, you don't drink raw. Like I personally, I'm not a big pusher of like raw this, that. In some cases, all these kefirs and fermented dairy can actually cause more problems because they have certain type of bacteria that convert the carbohydrates you're consuming into lactic acid, burdening the liver. So
Okay.
good milk is more than enough, and it's good. Avoid seed oils, that's good. To digest. Yeah, when it comes to the stomach acid, that all goes back to thyroid. So thyroid allows for proper stomach acid production, also allows for proper digestive enzymes and enzymes in your mouth. So thyroid is the underlying factor with that. With dandelion tea, I would be cautious because when you get into herbs, things like nettle root, all of those things, they usually have DHT lowering effects. So they lower 5-alpha reductase, which some believe increases hair loss. But from what I've optimized with my stuff, I had no issues with hair loss. And when I done blood work, hair loss is due to hyperlactin. And hyperlactin is a sign of low thyroid, high serotonin, things like that. And gut health, because 95% of serotonin is produced in the gut. Sleep quality, it's not the best. Glycine, magnesium, that's nice. Stress levels, blood work. The testosterone, I can show you something. So when it comes to testosterone, like just a testosterone reading doesn't really outline that much because it can be feeding either the protective pathway or the stress pathway. And in most guys, the testosterone is being converted to estrogen, causing all of these issues rather than DHT, so on and so forth. And with that, the foundation being thyroid, which in your case, that's the biggest thing you need to work on, which is this conversion here. So then you produce pregnenolone into testosterone, and then DHT, and then liver and things like that. Cool. Okay. And I'll go over the type of blood work that you can look into. Are you going to take any supplements? So I can go over this, some of the mistakes you could be making, and it could be causing some problems. So Supplements magnesium glycinate, that's good. The main thing ends with ATE. You want to avoid things that end with IDE, like oxide. So this is good. Glycine, good. Zinc, you just have to look into what type it is. And if you're deficient, then it's good. Vitamin C, I wouldn't recommend, or nor do I tell my clients to supplement with vitamin C, because a lot of it is synthetic and you can get it from good nutrition, food, and things like that. Next, Tonkara leaf, Foja arrestis. I'm not a big fan. I think a lot of those things, they have a estrogenic effect. It increases sex drive, which is kind of lustful like in some cases, which are all signs of high estrogen. So I would take a break. Also, could be burdening the liver, so on and so forth. I remember when I was taking a lot of herbs, my hairline was receding. It was very serotonergic, so I felt very numb. So I'd be cautious with that. Vitamin D, K2 calcium, that's nice. Your pre-workout is non-stimp pump formula. So one paradigm shift, because if you're coming from the bodybuilding lens, they use nitric oxide things to boost blood flow. But when you look at it from a bioenergetic repeat lens, citrulline malate increases nitric oxide, which is a stressor. Think about it from a lens of, if you're under stress and a tiger is attacking you, everything's going to dilate due to nitric oxide. So nitric oxide is very damaging. When they introduced like Viagra in the 90s or whenever it was, there was a lot of people who suffered with type 2 diabetics because the nitric oxide messed with the pancreas. So nitric oxide is very problematic. So I would avoid it. Creatine is good. Beta alanine is okay. Alanine, which is an amino acid protective. L-arginine, it's same with the citrulline malate. It just increases nitric oxide, but be careful. Beetroot capsule, it's okay. It's not bad. The biggest thing that you're going to do to optimize pumps and performance and blood flow in the gym is having protective hormones high. Because when the stress hormones are high, the veins constrict and they're very tight. That's where you get migraines, headaches, because they're tight. But when you have protective hormones, the blood flow is enhanced and things like that. That's why morning wood is better. Erections are better when protective hormones are high. L-carnitine, I made videos on this. L-carnitine, what it does, it increases free fatty acids. So the utilization of fats for fuel as a primary source, which is not something that you want to incentivize your body to do, because that's a stress state. When you look at young people versus old people have a drastically lower usage of carbohydrates for fuel because their metabolism is compromised, and they use fats for fuel, which is a stress state. And L-carnitine gets the body to do that. So I would avoid that for sure. I know there's like, it increases androgen receptor density, things like that. But if this is lowering your thyroid because you're down-regulating glucose utilization, you're lowering the conversion of proper thyroid function, and then further down in the pathway, lower testosterone, lower DHT. So this is something short-term, but long-term, you're damaging yourself. So I would avoid that. Is there anything else to do? Sunlight daily is difficult. Like with that, there's nothing much you can do about it because that's the way you have work. The only thing I can recommend is maybe red light. And if not that, just incandescent light in your house. Because it mimics like fire, which is very protective. But fundamentally, if you're getting and supplementing with vitamin D, like 10,000 per day, 10,000 IUs, you'd be good. Okay. And also with vitamin D, if you're getting a lot of sunlight twice a week, vitamin D is fat soluble, so your body will make enough that day to sustain you for a few days. So
okay,
if you're getting plenty, those days. It's good. Um, these are some of the symptoms that people with hypothyroidism have. The main ones you have is sleep problems, hair loss, fatigue, maybe. Do you struggle with any other, like weight gain, maybe? No?
Um, no, it's usually actually the opposite for me. Like I'll lose weight very quick.
Okay. Depression,
Um, Not too much, no.
okay. Anxiety,
Definitely anxiety.
okay. What about like racing thoughts?
Um, I wouldn't say racing thoughts.
Okay. Apathy,
I guess sometimes apathy, not too much.
okay. Uh, poor appetite,
Yeah, if I don't continuously eat, then my appetite just like dies off.
okay. Low body temperature, low pulse rate,
I'm usually quite warm.
okay.
Um, the pulse rate, I've been checking it the past few mornings. So the one morning I woke up at 90 beats per minute as my resting heart rate. Then later in on that day, it was like 72 after work. And then the very next morning, it was like 78 when I woke up. So it's a bit all over the place.
Okay. Yeah. So with the temperature and heart rate, I can comment on that. So the main thing with tracking those variables is looking at the patterns because you can wake up and have a high heart rate, 80 to 86, which is good. But if you eat something and it goes to like 70, that means your heart rate was elevated due to stress rather than protective hormones. Same with the temperature. Temperature can be increased due to stress, like nitric oxide, things like that. And if you eat something, it goes down. So it's always looking at the patterns before, let's say, a meal and then after and seeing how it changes. The optimal goal is it's around 80 to 86 you eat, stays within that range again, maybe up to 90, but you still feel good. If in the morning you want it maybe around 70, 75 you eat, it goes to 80 to 86, and then it should maintain steady throughout the day. People with hypothyroidism, it's like all over the place, you know?
Yeah.
But yeah, skin problems.
I've generally got pretty good skin. It's just every now and then I'll get like a flare up of acne on my back.
Okay. That's usually the vitamin A deficiency, retinol.
Okay.
So retinol is very powerful. So liver, things like that. It's very good for those things. Um, the reason why acne comes from maybe milk or sunlight, it's not due to those things. It's due to those things increase the metabolic rate. And because the metabolic rate increased, it used those vitamins at a higher rate. And due to not replenishing those vitamins, the deficiency created the skin problem. So
Okay.
to combat that, just supplementing with adequate enough fatigue, anemia. You said you had low iron in the blood test before or something. Um, water retention. You struggle with that.
Um, what do you mean by water retention? Like just holding on to more water or
Yeah, like being very bloated. Like it's a drastic. Like when I had hypothyroidism, like when I wake up in the morning, I'd be just like a balloon. Like what is going on, you know?
yeah.
Uh,
I've never really had that.
okay. Okay. Constipation.
Only when I eat a lot of bread or like potatoes and stuff.
Okay. What what would you say your bowel movements are per day? Like one, two, three per day?
It's every morning after I wake up.
Okay. Uh, any orange hands and feet, maybe?
I've had that before when I was like eating really low carbs.
Okay.
I had like orange marks all over around my fingernails and stuff, and it went away as soon as I increased my carbs.
Okay. Because that's usually from eating a lot of beta carotene. And hypercarotinemia. That means the beta carotene is not being utilized and it's accumulating on your hands. You just turn orange, you know. Chronic infection. So that's something you mentioned with getting sick. So that's another one. Okay. So next thing is like tracking, something you can have a look at further down to, something to pay attention to. So TSH being below 1. Next, total cholesterol, 160 to 200. That's a good range to be in. If it's below 160, that means it's like malnutrition, gut issues, things like that. If it's above 200, it's not a bad thing. It's just lower thyroid and the cholesterol is not being converted into protective hormones. But I'd rather be above 200 than below 160. Prolactin is this, if you optimal 5 to 7. Prolactin is a good sign of what your tissue level estrogen and serotonin is. That's why I don't have estrogen checking here, because you can check your estrogen by looking at prolactin. Vitamin D within those levels. Vitamin D is a steroid because it's produced from cholesterol. So vitamin D is very important for proper hormonal function, all of those things. And then lastly, heart rate and temperature. What I recommend is checking it first thing in the morning, after a meal, maybe at noon, before and after a meal, and then later in the evening, and just looking at those patterns. And the way you can keep account of everything, so you have a document here, you can change the dates however you want. And you can also adjust to remove pillars, things like that. So you can see a pattern of what's going on. So like your sleep, are you getting morning wood? Are you using an alarm to wake up? Your heart rate, temperature, before and after, you can add columns if you want to do more. Your weight, phone time, screen time, steps per day. Did you get sunlight? Did you train? Did you take your supplements? Or you can write down what supplements, how much calories did you eat approved, how many bowel movements. Then you can do like once a week measurements, things like that. And at the week notes, because what gets measured gets accomplished. And it doesn't have to be this complex. You can make it simpler, something that you can visually see, and you'll see a pattern to what's working, what's not working, X, Y, and Z. Okay. So first thing you said, you wanted to look into nutrition plan. So you already said how many calories, macros, but how much do you weigh right now?
At the moment, I'm about 76 kilos.
Okay. So I have and the document, I'll send it to you so you have access to this. So calculator here. So body weight, I'll set this to kg, 76. Body fat, what would you say?
I would say about, I have slightly visible abs at the moment, so maybe 15%.
Yep. And then steps per day, do you know how much you take?
It's got to be roughly 8,000.
Okay. 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 So yeah, your metabolic rate is very high. So if you eat 3,500 calories, you lose weight.
Yeah.
Okay, well, so usually with this, because your metabolic rate is hyper increased, and usually that comes from like stress. There's stories of Ray Peat when he was eating like 7,000 calories a day to maintain his weight. And when he introduced thyroid, the amount of calories he needed per day went in half because his energy production became more efficient and stress hormones decreased.
Okay.
So this calculator I just used to kind of gauge of where you're at. But yeah, You have a very extreme case of that. Okay.
I remember there was a point like a couple of years ago where if I think I was eating about 5,000 a day and the weight on the scale wasn't going up.
Oh wow.
Like fully tracking like 5 to 6 meals a day and trying to eat as clean as I can. Like it was just mountains of rice. It was insane.
And are you consistent with it in the sense of like, do you eat it every day for 30 days, or do you miss days that you don't eat anything on days, or are you 100%?
I at least eat 3,500. Some days, like recently, the past 2 weeks, we had a massive end of financial year sale at work. So we weren't really given much of a lunch break because there's just such a high volume of customers that we got to serve. But on those days, I try to eat at least 3,500. So I always try to get to maintenance.
Okay.
But most of the time, I'm hitting above that.
Okay. Got it. So protein 150, and then fats. Like the one thing with your fats, they're extremely high. And the problem with high fat, even if you're eating like all these best fats, coconut oil, butter, all of those things still have 1, 2, 3% PUFAs. And naturally, if you're eating 180 grams of fat, your PUFA intake is going to be higher. Also, higher fat intake increases serotonin. So I would try to get it as low, like as even as 80 or maybe 100 and just go from there, because it would be something much better. So like that. So like the macros being, so if you're doing the 4,000 protein 150, fats 100, and the rest carbohydrates. Because with carbohydrates, your body can do a lot of things with carbohydrates. Even the protein can go lower because carbohydrates are protein sparing. A lot of the reasons why people eat these high protein diets is because they're not eating enough carbohydrates. And when you don't eat enough carbohydrates, your body converts the protein you're consuming into sugar, carbs. So carbs are extremely important. Also with carbohydrates, your body converts carbs if it needs to into fats, saturated fats. Your body uses sugar to produce cholesterol and then use that cholesterol to produce protective hormones. And this is why the claim that sugar is bad for you came from, because your body produces cholesterol from sugar and they think cholesterol is bad. Hence why they said sugar is bad. So going for something more like this would be more feasible, and I think it would benefit you. So
Okay.
4,000, 115. The next, the approved foods. So dairy milk, so milk, low fat milk. One hack that I like to do is just get a liter of milk, like good quality milk that you like, and just put like 100 grams of white sugar in it. It can be cold and you just drink that. That's a very good meal right there. And that can be done on the go.
Yep.
Cheeses like cottage cheese, Greek yogurt, eggs, gelatin, all that, white fish, carbs, fruits, fruit juices, sugar, honey. If you're eating things like potatoes and white rice, make sure you're having some coconut oil with it or butter, because the starches can feed gram-negative bacteria and increase serotonin, things like that. But the saturated fat protects the starch from being fed. So if you're having starches, have it with a saturated fat, like coconut oil, butter, ghee, cacao butter, dairy. So that's what you're having to the time. And fundamentally avoiding the problematic foods. And that's just a basic one. So I also include this. And this is something I don't really talk about, content only in the reclaim. This is a more in-depth problematic list because it goes deeper. This is something you can have a look at because different foods have different compounds like gluten. So you have all of those, and why it's problematic. Non-celiac wheat sensitivity, so all of those things. Starches, lectin foods, why, and they're all here. So paying attention to why certain foods might cause issues. Polyunsaturated legumes, nuts, seeds, eggs, nightshade. And these are problematic, but for you, not all of them are problematic, just some. Some people have nightshade, so like peppers, tomatoes, food map. So this is something you can have a look and remove. And diets like carnivore kind of accomplish this in an extreme fashion rather than being individual with it. They're like, just remove everything and just, so that. So that's the nutrition section. One thing that encompasses nutrition as well is micronutrients. So this is a table that you can always utilize, and it goes over all micronutrients. So you have B vitamins, so water-soluble vitamins, vitamin C. You have fat-soluble vitamins, electrolytes, and minerals. What is their function? So this is just something fun you can look at if you want. Signs of a deficiency. What tests can be done if you want to have a look? What foods contain those minerals, vitamins, if you want to get it from food, and what dose is good to get per day. And these are some recommended supplements you can have a look. But just to break it down, to simplify, B vitamins, B1 is good, not essential. In some cases, maybe. This one is good, B3 specifically niacinamide. What it does, it lowers free fatty acids and allows for better cell respiration, which basically means better utilization of carbohydrates for fuel. Choline and rest are not as important if you're getting liver. You will cover those things, but something separate in higher doses, niacinamide. Next is vitamin A. This one is extremely important because without it, your body can't produce the foundational hormone, which is cholesterol, vitamin A, retinol, and thyroid T3 produce pregnenolone. So vitamin A is super important. You can get it in liver. You can get supplements like retinol. That's what I use personally. But yeah, and these are topical supplements. You put them on the skin rather than, because anything you put on the skin gets absorbed into the bloodstream. Next, vitamin D from sunlight. But if you're deficient, sunlight won't work. You need to supplement. Next, vitamin E. Very important if you're eating PUFAs or you have PUFA accumulation, PUFA polyunsaturated fats, because PUFAs are extremely damaging. And then vitamin K should be used in combination with vitamin D. And if you're using aspirin, which I'll mention in a moment. Next is make sure you're getting plenty of salt, potassium from like orange juice, calcium, a lot of calcium from dairy, and supplement like eggshell calcium, eggshells, at least 2000. Like that's something to track for sure, whether it's through Chronometer, which is an app to track your calories, or just manually using ChatGPT just to calculate how much calcium you're getting per day, because it's extremely protective. And you want to have it in a proper ratio to phosphorus. So if you're having 1,000 milligrams of phosphorus, which is high in meats, nuts, and all of those things, you want to have at least twice as much calcium to improve the ratios. And a lot of people miss out on that. Next is magnesium. Very important, especially if you do ever consider supplementing T3 or T4. Next is like zinc, iodine, copper, selenium, boron, manganese. You can get these from oysters, liver. And I would be cautious with supplementing those individually, especially iodine, unless you know you're deficient, because it can lower your hormones, because it can be problematic. So utilize this table. And then that's it for nutrition, things like that. Training is next. So with training, I just want to keep it simple in the sense of like, if your goal is androgen density, building more muscle, so on and so forth, the goal is accomplishing certain strength standards, which in your case, you're 76 kilos. And if you accomplish these strength standards for these movements at your body weight for 5 reps, that muscle group, so incline bench press for 106.4 kilograms of incline bench press for 5 reps, your chest is going to be impressive. So it gives you a clear goal to accomplish. It leaves out the guesswork out of training. Because a lot of guys in the industry, they're like, you need to do these crazy whatever. It's literally just this, and there's more here. And it's literally, now the question is, how do you accomplish these standards? And the way you accomplish that is by having a proper training plan that you're consistent with. And next is progressive overload, which I think you know about. And it's literally, if you just prioritize those things and always look back, the week back, did I get stronger? Am I moving towards these standards? If the answer is yes, you're going to build muscle. There's no doubt about it. And the key thing is accomplishing those standards in the medium rep range. If you're doing that within 1, 2, 3 reps, you're mostly optimizing the central nervous system. So you're getting more efficient at performing that movement. But if you're doing it in the medium rep range, you're building hypertrophy, you're building muscle. So yeah, and you can change how much you weigh, and this will change. This one is more, stays the same, but it gives you like examples as well. And yeah, so that's that. And then when it comes to training plans, there's like little templates you can play around with, upper lower, that you can alternate upper lower, like Monday, Tuesday, Thursday, Friday, or Monday, Wednesday, Friday. You can alternate however you want. Push pull, legs push pull, body weight. Also, if you're looking for something specific, you can even let me know now. I can write something up for you for a training plan if you're looking for something different, something a certain amount of days.
I'll give this. I'll try out this. What you've got up there now and see how that goes.
Yeah. So just follow that, and you can text me on Instagram or you need help with that. I can optimize that. And so that's training, nutrition, and then things with gut health. One thing I'd recommend having consistent on a daily basis is like a carrot salad. You probably heard me talk about it because it flushes out estrogen. If you don't like the carrots, white button mushrooms, and then activated charcoal times 1 to 2 per week. Very good to keep the endotoxin prolactin low. And then lastly, aspirin. Have you ever used aspirin?
I've maybe had it once or twice. I have heard you talk about it, but I don't really understand how it all works and all that.
Okay, so the one thing with aspirin you want to know is aspirin is natural. It's a willow bark extract. It goes back to ancient Egypt. So it's a natural thing that if you find a willow bark tree, you can make it. Animals during the winter, they consume a lot of that. If you kill a bird, you know that guy, Outdoor Boy guy that does the camping? Maybe you've seen his videos, Outdoor Boys. Yeah. So when he kills ptarmigans, the birds in the winter, when he opens the stomachs, you see a lot of willow bark because they eat aspirin to keep their metabolism and things like that. So aspirin is natural. The only thing with aspirin is it may have some impurities inside the tablet. So what I personally do is I put the aspirin tablet and juice or whatever, and then let it dissolve, and the impurities sink to the bottom, and I just drink it. So I don't drink the impurities. And you have 1 milligram of K, vitamin K, per 1 300 to 500 milligram tablet. Because it depletes. Okay. And how aspirin works. Aspirin, similarly to niacinamide, it lowers free fatty acids, so allows for proper cell respiration, so it's very protective. It increases the metabolism, it increases thyroid hormones, it's anti-inflammatory, all of those things. So aspirin is something to definitely utilize. That's something I've been using at least 1 to 2 times a week for years, sometimes even often if I need to. My clients use it. It's very good. It's very underrated because people think, oh, it's aspirin, some cheap thing. But I can compare it. Aspirin is like creatine in the bioenergetic space.
Okay.
It's like so good, but it's so cheap. Why? And in the bodybuilding, people know how good creatine is, but they always go for something shiny. But they always go back to creatine because it's good. It works. Same with aspirin. So yeah, that's that. And yeah, any questions? Anything else you want me to cover? Yeah.
I normally do, so with the breakfast, I do a rice shake where it's basically just a standard serving of rice with a cup of milk, 3 tablespoons of honey, some salt and cinnamon. Normally I do that because it's quick breakfast. I blend it up. Um, do you reckon that's a good thing to continue, or is it too much carbs at once, or what would you say?
So it's rice, milk, honey, and cinnamon and salt.
Yeah. And the rice is cooked in a tablespoon of ghee with it.
Okay. So no, carbs are good, especially in the morning because you spend the night in a stress state. Darkness and coldness is a stressor, and sleep is a protection against it. Um, it's good. The only caveat, I would just have you ever tried not eating rice, or do you find rice works well for you? If it works well, keep it. I would just be cautious. Another thing, with that meal, I would recommend having like a coffee on the side if you could.
Yeah, yeah. I just eat a lot of rice because I feel like it sits really well with me compared
Okay.
to like I used to do sourdough bread with
Okay.
eggs, but then when I switched to doing rice like in a rice shake, like I just find it just sits so much better. Like I absorb it very quickly, and it just seems to work quite well. I'm a bit concerned that I'm eating a lot of rice every single day, and I'm not sure if that's a good idea.
Rice is good. The only thing, because white rice, especially, and that's what you want to be eating. White rice, it was a luxury in ancient Egypt. Like brown rice was given for the poor, and white rice for the elites, you could say. Um, Rice is good. The only thing you want to pay attention to is rice is high in iron, and iron is very problematic. It increases the damage that PUFA does. So if you're having rice, always have caffeine with it
Okay.
because caffeine stops the absorption of iron. Vice versa, I would not have a vitamin C capsule with that meal because vitamin C increases the absorption of iron. So I would avoid vitamin C things around rice, meats, things that are high in um, iron. Yeah.
Okay. Cool. Um, what else? After let's say I had like a real long, stressful day at work, what would be the go-to sort of meal? Because lately I've been experimenting with having a glass of orange juice with some salt and like 5 grams of glycine thrown in there as well, just to try and help the nervous system just relax a bit.
That's good for sure. Um, yeah, the main thing you want to prioritize is first, I would ask yourself, going back to the foundation, what is stress? Why do you feel like that? Like when you look at it biologically, it's usually elevated free fatty acids. And what is stress? Stress is whenever the body has a certain energy demand, but it can't provide it from your own protective hormones. So increases emergency stress hormones to pay for that energy. So both would be number one priority would be if you optimize your hormones, you're eating enough and you improve your protective hormones, you won't have stress because you'll have enough energy to cope with it. That's one. But things happen in life. Then the one thing that I would prioritize would be electrolytes like salt, carbohydrates, and something to lower free fatty acids, which is aspirin or niacinamide. In your case, I would definitely try doing the aspirin thing and see how you feel uh, after doing that. So even ice cream with an aspirin and some coffee, but maybe later you want to avoid that. In your case, if it's later in the evening, avoid protein because it's stimulating, messes with sleep. So just carbs, fats, electrolytes, so sugar, electrolytes, aspirin, then I would just do it like that. Yeah.
Cool. Um, yeah, that's about all the questions I currently have. Just got to digest all the information.
Perfect. Yeah, like you can message me on Instagram. Yeah, I definitely talked a lot as well because I wanted to cover all bases.
Yeah.
With the nutrition, just macros you got down. You also have the website here, so you can play around with the foods to eat, what foods to not eat, and that's the main thing. And do you use MyFitnessPal or Chronometer?
Yeah, I'm more familiar with MyFitnessPal. I've used Chronometer in the past just to track like the macros. That's what it's really good
Okay,
for. It just I like MyFitnessPal because it's just quicker to use. But
perfect. And then with the workout plan, yeah, I would just keep it simple and just the foundation of the strength standard. It's like it really boils down to that. If you accomplish the higher strength standards in those things, your physique will just change. I've made the mistake of like these influencers training 6 times a week, these pump workouts, but you might see some short-term results, maybe because you're more fuller, but you lose it as fast. The density comes from the strength standards, and yeah.
yeah, I
What?
remember I was training like there's like this Bulgarian style training where like you basically pick a movement, do it every day, but like with minimal volume so that you recover quick enough. And your CNS does get really efficient at the movement, but it's like once you stop training that movement, your strength goes down and it's like you build almost no muscle.
Yeah, like yeah, I get what you mean now. And was that like a full body or 6 times a week
Um,
kind of?
it was like every day for like 2 weeks straight. Like you would,
Um,
have you heard of Eric Bugenhagen?
Eric, yeah, yeah, him.
Yeah, his style of training. It's really fun, but like
Yeah.
it really just trains the CNS at the end of the day.
There's a follower of his, um, Alpha Destiny. It's Alex, that guy. I don't know, maybe you've seen him.
Yeah, yeah.
So Alex, he talks about the strength standards. He's a big proponent of that. And Eric Buchenhagen, I'm pretty sure he also prioritizes because it's the guy that has like a home gym and he lifts extremely heavy. Is it him?
Yeah.
Yeah. So they're all like natural bodybuilders to just prioritize those strength standards. And they use like full body concurrent periodization, which is, I can show you actually. Let me just find the document, which is there's something called the law of biological accommodation, which basically means your body stops making positive adaptations to a stimulus, which means your body stops progressively overloading on particular exercise because we just adapted. And the more advanced you are, the quicker that adaptation occurs. So they have something called concurrent periodization, which is, I'll show you now. They do like full body workouts. So this is like full body, which is twice a week AB, but every week you rotate exercises. So one way to overcome the law of biological accommodation is targeting the same muscle group, but changing the variation slightly. So here you have incline close grip, pause, bench. Then the next time you're doing incline close grip bench press off pins. So it's different variations, same muscle group. Next week, same muscle, different variation. That's week 4. And then you go back again to that. But yeah, that's how maybe do you want a copy of these as well? Training.
Yeah, sure. Yeah.
Just but yeah, they have solid stuff.
Just a side note, I do remember the first time having raw liver, just like a small little piece, just see if it'll digest well. And I felt like all the colors in the world were just like vibrant after eating that. I don't know if I was just deficient in a lot of micronutrients or vitamin A or something, but it was like magical.
I would say probably I get that sometimes with it's the B vitamins. If you're deficient in B vitamins, you have some B vitamins because B vitamins improve proper glucose utilization. And yeah, I know B1, for example, Steve Jobs used it and he said it give you like very stimulating visually in a sense of more colors. He said like mushrooms without the hallucination. So B1 is very powerful.
Okay.
But yeah, that's that. Besides the house, everything else, are you doing social media anymore, like the podcasting, things like that? How's that?
Not really at the moment. At the moment, I've got a lot of my energy just going towards my sales job currently. I still want to do the big homestead thing in the future, so I'm just trying to like stack some money so I can get a down payment for that. But just because it's taken up so much of my time and mental like bandwidth, and because I'm like have low energy now, it's a bit tricky to make content. And when I want to make content, like I don't want to present a tired, lethargic version of me. I want to be like, in the zone, good energy, giving off, a good message. And I feel I just struggle to give that same good message when I'm just absolutely like beat up and tired from having low energy and working this job. So I'm trying to at least get some videos out just to keep sort of drip feeding content on the YouTube channel. But apart from that, it's just, yeah, hopefully I can get my thyroid to function a bit better, get some more energy and be able to pump out more content in that regard.
Yeah. And like other things, you can also like, if you do get your cholesterol tested, like even supplementing with thyroid. I know, and some people like you already supplemented with thyroid in your life when you were a baby. 50 years ago, you have thyroid in your food because it's in the chicken gland. Thyroid is, but I would only take it as you know this because if you have your cholesterol is low and you take it, it'll go even lower. But yeah, that's something, and it's when you look at, I know some guys, oh, but is it natural? It is. When you look at bodybuilding, all of those things, if you take this, you're still considered natural. But yeah.
Would that be sort of like after trying everything, would that be sort of the last resort or?
like in most cases, a lot of people benefit from it, especially if they are hypothyroid, because a lot of people have hypothyroidism because 100 years ago, the introduction of antibiotics allowed for diseases to be passed on more easily in the sense of genetics, things like that. And that's why a lot of people struggle with thyroid issues. I struggled with it. I had issues with it. I had to optimize it. A lot of people do have it. I personally use this tea tree at low doses before I go to sleep. Most of my clients use it. It's good. But yeah, I would definitely first try everything else. And then this, you can give it a shot. And tea tree is something that can be used once and you don't have to be consistent. When you get into like the other thing, like T4, which shuts down your TSH, which is not a bad thing. You need to take it every day consistently, because if you stop taking it, you're like rug pulling yourself. And because you're lowering this, which is good because most people have this like 5 micros, and it's very inflammatory. But yeah, can also text me. And yeah, anything else? You utilize the accountability, things like that. Also, any other questions that come up within next few days, whatever, message me on Instagram, would be better. And yeah, you have access to the document. The recording, I'll just post it on this on my YouTube and I'll send you a link.
Okay, cool.
And yeah.
Awesome. Well, yeah, I appreciate you taking the time to write up the plan and just like show me everything. So thanks for that.
No problem. It was nice chatting. And yeah, keep me updated on your progress. And yeah, I'm looking forward to seeing your results. And yeah, God bless. And I'll definitely see you soon.
Yeah, see you soon, brother.
See you soon. Peace. Okay, so what's going on? Hopefully you enjoyed that coaching call. You enjoyed and got some value out of the video. Here, I'm just going to present to you how you can work with me. So what you seen in this video was the one-on-one coaching call that Zell booked. So it's a 1-hour call consultation. You can just click here. This is on fedursky.com. There's a link down below. You can click here and you can fill out the information so I know and I can prepare for the call just like I did with Zal. And we can go over all of the things that we did. So that one is here. Then other ways you can work with me. If you want to work with me longer term, I have the Brotherhood, which you probably heard me mention a few times, in which there's actually a 7-day free trial. So if you want to join, you can join for 7 days. If you don't like it, you can leave. And then lastly, the Reclaim Mastermind. So in the video that you just seen, I brought up a lot of documents and things like that that go more into detail and depth when it comes to hormonal optimization. And all that came from the Reclaim Mastermind. And you can join by clicking here. So these are the 3 different options, which is the Brotherhood, the Reclaim Mastermind, and one-on-one consultation call. So that being said, hopefully you enjoyed this one and I'll see you later. Peace.